Meeting to order, Farmington Planning Board, September 14th, 15th. All day. Let's start by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, emergency exits over here in the back corner, and then when you came in, there's a sign-in sheet. Please make sure you sign in. Please, all your cell phones, pagers, and smartwatches, and all the other doodads, please silence those. We'll be conducting the board tonight by following the rules of procedures adopted by this board on January 20th, 2021. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Everybody gets a chance to review those. Do we have any comments, changes, questions? I have a motion to approve the minutes. So moved by Doug, seconded by Tim. Tim, any other comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I abstain. I wasn't here.
Abstain. Okay, legal notices were published September 8th, 2021 in the town newspaper. Order of business, continued site plan public hearing for PB 0703-21. Preliminary site plan approval for lot 4 of the Loomis Road Industrial Park. Who's here to speak for that?
I believe they're going to be online.
Online, all right.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. This is Bob Winans. I'm an engineer with DDS Engineering.
Hey, Bob.
How you doing?
Fantastic. You?
Pretty good. Yeah, as you mentioned, we're here applying for the special use permit for the site plan, or well, for the use related to the site plan for lot 4, which is going to be more of a high-end automobile car tuning, and they work on high-performance cars. So it's not just a standard auto repair shop, but it's a more of a high-end business. But it will be involved with automobiles. So we were just want to get the permit going. So
the first item is the preliminary site plan, and then we have the special use permit as a new public hearing. So we'll combine both together, Ron, is that okay? Okay, I just want to let you know, we're looking at two things, the preliminary site plan and the special use permit.
Chairman, can I just make a comment?
Okay, go ahead.
The applicant did send in a letter for the site plan asking that to continue. I believe that's why he jumped straight.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we're just going to straight continue the public or the preliminary site plan. I'll ask if there's any public comments since it is a public hearing continuation, and then we'll go into the site plan. Go ahead and go right into the site special use permit. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bob. You can start talking about the special use permit.
okay, yeah. So that's we're still would be in conformance with the general or industrial zoning use, and just requires a permit for this this operation they're going to be doing, I guess. And we have asked for continuation until the October meeting for the site plan, because the owner is working on details on the building and anything special for the site plan. We're kind of going through that now, but in general, it's going to be like the site plan we've submitted, but we're just right now they're working out the architectural details with the building, which when we come back in, we want to make sure we have good renderings and details on the building for the board. We're still working on, I think the site plan, a lot of the details on the overall site plan for the project were set, but we've got some engineering comments we need to respond to, and hopefully we'll have that all set by next month. So.
Okay, let's go special use permit.
Yes. If there are any questions, I can help you answer those.
Okay, we'll turn it over to Ron. or Dan, whichever one wants to go first.
Let me just talk real quick on special use permit.
If he uses a bike since he's online, I want to
Yeah.
make sure he hears it.
Hold on. All right, so with special use permit, per code, what they're doing is what he mentioned is a high-end souping up vehicles, I guess you could call it. It's not really a repair center or repair shop, but per code, that's the only one that fits. So in this district, that would be a special permitted use with a special use permit. That's why he's here tonight, starting that process. And they're actually looking for comments from the board about the uses and comments that go along with that. So just so you guys understand of how we got to where we are, it really doesn't fit any other categories. They're not doing actually everyday repairs. These are more cars are fine, but they're coming in for upgrades.
Accessories,
Yes.
whatever, tuning, that kind of thing. Okay.
So now I'll turn it over to Ron so he can let you know where.
Okay, Ron, what do we got?
Okay, well, the first thing that we have to deal with here tonight is the special use permit or the preliminary site plan criteria for determining significance. And that was something that we started before.
Right,
Under seeker, you have 20 days to determine the significance as the lead agency, which you were established as the lead agency back in August.
right,
So we've gone through the criteria in 617.7 and came to the conclusion that the preliminary site plan for lot 4 and related site development is not likely to result in a major impact on the environment.
Okay.
Or any negative declaration.
so it's a negative.
Yep.
Okay,
Any questions?
no, I don't think so.
You have multiple resolutions.
Right, we have 3 different resolutions.
I would recommend to the board to handle seeker first, and then we'll come back to the other 2.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions on seeker? Engineer, anybody else? Okay, so we have a resolution that was provided to us, it's titled Criteria for Determining Significance on PB 0703-21. It lays out the criteria and that it will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. I assume the applicant doesn't have an issue with that?
No, we don't.
Okay, I didn't figure you would. Just thought I'd ask. So, and the board, is the board okay with waiving the reading and approving this resolution as provided? Moved by Adrian, seconded by Doug. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call, vote, please.
Jim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Aaron Bellis.
Adrian. Aye.
Ed Henry.
Aye.
What did I say?
You said Aaron. Okay, that one's out of the way. So next one we've got 2 left. We've got a special use permit and a preliminary site plan. Both are going to be continued. So what are we doing, Ron?
Yeah, basically, at the applicant's request, they need additional time to work with their clients to put all the details together that they feel you'll want. to see.
Okay,
So they've asked to have the matters continued to October 20th. The only thing I would add to this might be that you'd like them to try to get their stuff together so they come to the PRC the first Friday in October there, so that we could see what's going on and kind of get an idea of what changes they've made.
okay. Yeah, I would say we want that, or if they can't, then maybe they hit the first one in November and then move this one to a November one. Because it needs, this needs to go to, Bob, this needs to go to PRC. So if you guys feel you can make the October PRC, fine. If it's the November one, that we should move this instead of to the 20th of October into the first meeting in November.
Yeah,
That makes
okay,
sense?
totally understand that.
So do you think you can meet the October PRC meeting?
We're hopeful at this point. I think we're making good progress, so.
Would you rather just be safe and just move it to the November, the first meeting in November?
Well,
Yeah, I guess I don't want to rush everything, so possibly yes.
Okay,
I haven't checked with the owner lately. We've been working towards the October, but maybe it's just as well to push it off to November, and then we aren't rushing everything into you. So
let's see what you got. What do you got there, Ron?
well, the November PRC meeting occurs after the first
Oh.
meeting of the planning board in November. So you'd be looking at the second meeting in November, the 17th. If you moved it back to.
So do you want to leave it at the 20th of October and shoot for that if we can? If not, then we'd have to move it to the 17th of November.
okay, sounds good.
Okay, we'll leave it at the 20th for now. Go ahead,
Yep.
Dan.
I know at your last meeting, we had a project that we set for the second meeting of October, but told him if he could come in earlier, he would get him on an earlier date.
Right.
Would it be safe to put him on the November date so that we don't have to do a
With
continuation?
public hearings, I don't know if you can do that. I mean, Ron's got it. I mean, with public hearings, we almost
I
have
mean,
to
if
have.
you get it in for PRC, can't you change it to the different meeting?
Well.
Once you establish a resolution with a date for a public hearing, you have to have that date, even if you just open it and
That's
then close.
that's what we're doing here tonight.
Yeah,
Okay, so now we're continuing tonight's public hearing to a specific date and time.
correct.
Otherwise, we gotta re-advertise.
Yeah, and if they get it done early, then we would have to re-advertise it if we had enough time, so it'd be better just to set a date, go for it. And if they're not ready, then we just go around and continue it again for another month. It's the administrative thing with the public hearing issue that we don't want to get on the wrong side of from a legal standpoint, of course. Okay, so both of these are going to be held over till the 20th of October. Dan, anything else?
Not for that.
This is for both the, well, we're gonna do both the special use and the preliminary site.
There might be questions on the special use by your board.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about both of them, but I mean, we have a public hearing, so we'll let the public make comments also.
I do not have any other comments.
Okay. Highway. Engineering.
We issued a letter on August 4th. We're just waiting for revised plans and other documentation so we can verify whether or not those counts have been addressed.
Perfect. Okay, fire. This specific one for Loomis Road?
No, other than if he says I am, they work on fire trucks.
Well,
That certainly would speed the process up.
you could probably make them go faster.
Well, I don't know if we want to do that. I was sorry about that. No.
All right, okay, this is a public hearing. Do I have anyone from the public here in the room who would like to speak on or for or against these, the special use permit or the preliminary site plan for Loomis Road Industrial Park Lot 4? Online, anyone other than Bob want to speak for or against this application? He's the only one online. Okay, so now we'll turn to staff or to the board. Tim?
No, I have nothing.
Doug?
Site plans, I guess we'll see when they come in. Special use, I just was curious as to, is there any planned outside storage of vehicles?
How's your outside storage set up, Bob?
We do have parking and such around the building, like minimal parking, so I expect that if there's cars they're going to be working on, there may be a little bit of carryover as clients drop off cars and then pick them up. But I can double check on with the owner as far as what the normal procedures are as far as the time cars are there.
And we assume that all the cars there will be registered and running and they're just coming in for accessories or whatever. These aren't going to be junkers and stuff like that just sitting around.
Correct. No, they would be something that the owners would have on the road and expect my clients to be working on them to, impact the cars to make them better and improve their performance. So these are going to be pretty expensive high-end cars. So they're, definitely going to be, I assume, well taken care of and not just kind of sitting around as junkers. So.
Good, okay.
Go ahead. I guess, maybe check with your client as to how many they may need outside. I guess I'm not as concerned with this use. I'm more concerned down the road if they were to leave that and there's a special use that goes along with that. I'd like to have a number of cars outside so we don't get, a whole bunch of cars sitting around that are junkers down the road. So.
With this special use, would this go with the property?
Yes.
So it could then be an auto repair shop after this?
Yeah, I guess, Bob, what I'm hearing Doug ask about is how many vehicles at one time do you think you're going to be able to work on inside the building? And how long a period do you work on those vehicles inside the building? I wouldn't want to drop a car off there in January and pick it up in April when I get back to Florida and have it ready to go.
Exactly, and having it sit outside. I would want to know the number of vehicles sitting outside. Are you gonna have 10? You're gonna have 20 max, so that the code enforcement officer can go by and he sees 50 there, all of a sudden, okay, now you're in violation. We only said you could have 10 or 20. So we're looking for a number.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll check with the owner. I can get back to you on that.
Thanks.
For the special use, the rest of it seems pretty straightforward. I mean, it's industrial. It does use well. I'm looking out more future as opposed to really this
Right.
application.
Mr. Chairman, I did think of a question after
Okay.
seeing the dog. I was wondering if there would be any car trailers or, with high-end cars, many times these owners like to trailer them,
Yeah.
either an enclosed or an open trailer.
Yeah, so we need to know what about trailers too, parking, because you're gonna, somebody trailers in one, a high-end car.
Yeah.
They want to leave the trailer there too, probably, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll want that information, Bob.
Okay, good question. Yep.
Adrian,
No, everybody's hit it pretty well right now. I don't have anything at this time.
okay, Aaron?
One of my concerns was the outside storage. Just to be sure, fuel tanks, you're not gonna have any of those on property outside?
Bob, you're gonna have any fuel tanks out there?
That I do not remember them ever talking about fuel tanks at all when they described the outside of the building. So I don't, I can check on that for you too. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna have.
We should make that a condition that there would be no fuel tanks outside unless they tell us they have to, and then we can do it correctly.
And they get into the state DEC.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, any fluids or tires.
Yeah, I don't want them to have tire storage outside or.
Change stacked up.
Fuel tanks was a condition of the special use permit.
Pardon?
Fuel tank, outside fuel
Yeah.
tanks.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because they could have forbid racing fuel or something like that, specifically for these high-end cars. I don't know for sure, but it's possible.
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Probably be good with.
Yeah, we would need to know.
Order or something.
Yeah, that's what Anything else?
That's all for the special.
Okay, my comment just is, on the preliminary site plan. I mean, we're giving kind of feedback on everything right now. Make sure you give us the percentage of green space without the retention detention pond area, so we can look at what that is. I know you're using the center section to offset green space for the property, but we need to know that so that we know where we're going with that. I think that's all I had overall. So, and we're trying to do this to give you a feedback so that you don't come back in the next time and then we have these same questions for you again. So,
Yep, sounds good.
okay. Anybody else have any questions on the site plan?
No, I got some stuff for now.
Okay, all right. So we have two resolutions in front of us. They're both continuations. There's a continuation of the special use. and a continuation of the preliminary site plan. Do I have a motion to waive the reading of these two and block them and approve them?
Mr. Chairman, we have three resolutions. There's the continuation of the site plan. There's the seeker for the special.
Oh, I thought we did the seeker.
Yeah, we did the seeker for the site plan. We have a separate seeker for the special use.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then we have the continuation of the special.
So we did the
Why don't
site
you
plan.
Take them once in order, so.
Okay, we did what did we do already?
Seeker for the site plan.
For the site plan.
But next
Okay.
we have the continuation of the site plan.
Okay, we'll do the continuation of the site plan. Do I have a motion to waive the reading of the continuation of the site plan to the 20th of October and approve it? Moved by Adrian, seconded by Aaron. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
DeLucia,
Aye.
Doug Dees.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Bellis.
Aye.
Ed Henry.
Aye. Okay, I, for some reason, didn't print out the other seeker. So we have a resolution for seeker for the special use permit,
Type 2.
the type 2. Do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve that type 2?
Motion by Tim.
Seconded by Adrian. Or Aaron. Boy, this is gonna mess me up, guys. You know, this is gonna mess me up big time. Okay, any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Dees.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Bellis.
Aye.
Ed Henry.
Aye. Okay, next item up is the continuation of the special use permit. With a motion to waive the reading and approve the continuation to October 20th. Moved by Adrian, seconded by
Doug.
Doug. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Dees.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Aaron Bellis.
Aye.
Ed Henry.
Aye.
Adrian Bellis.
Yes, Ron.
We want them to try to come to the PRC in October.
Yes, we want you there in the October PRC if at all possible.
If not,
Okay,
November.
If not, we'll put you on the November list and then we'll just do another standard continuation.
okay, sounds good.
But the continuation, if it goes again, wouldn't be till the 17th of November. So, if they don't make it, yeah. Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Bob.
Okay, yep, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, okay, next item up is PB 0802-21 preliminary site plan approval lot R2 of the Farmington Commons. Dan, Ron? So we just have a straight continuation on that one?
Yeah, just a continuation. They had previously requested continuation to tonight for this preliminary site plan. But when the zoning board of appeals didn't make their decision at the end of August, they requested that this be continued to October 6th, along with the subdivision plan, so that the zoning board of appeals could meet at their meeting on September 27th to take action.
Now,
There's a public hearing open for the ZBA.
Right. So we have a preliminary site plan continuation and a,
We already have the
Site.
request made for the, previously for the preliminary subdivision.
preliminary subject, so we have two of those. Are they both in the same resolution here? I didn't catch both resolutions.
The subdivision has already been moved.
Okay, subdivision's already been moved. So all we're doing tonight is continuation of the, site plan. Okay. Is this a public hearing?
The
Site plan,
site plan, the subdivision is.
but we're not doing subdivision tonight.
No.
So
We're only doing site plan,
So you're continuing
the site plan,
the site plan approval.
which is not an open public hearing. Okay. So we have a resolution. Do I have anyone to move this resolution and waive the reading and move this resolution? Moved by Doug, seconded by Tim. Okay. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote.
DeLucia,
Aye.
Ed Weeks,
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney,
Aye.
Aaron Bellis,
Hi.
Ed Hunt.
Just
Adrian.
change my name to Aaron.
Yeah, I'm reading it, I'm looking at this.
Here's my name, so that Aaron.
Yeah, there you go. Gonna be one of those things.
We're gonna split you two up.
Yeah, it's me, has to.
Listen, I've been here a long time.
The two A's aren't next to each other.
Yeah. Okay, next item up. PB 0803-21 preliminary site plan. This is for the storage. Okay, do we have anyone here?
I'm gonna comment on this one for you guys tonight.
Okay.
Don Lewis contacted me earlier today. It was going to be a continuation anyway by the draft resolution. He was going to present what he had for updates, but more stormwater updates just got to him today. So we didn't want to confuse the boards with showing you some, not showing you all. So he's just going to hold off until the next time that the resolution says that he's going to be here. So.
Okay, so we have two items though tonight. We have the seeker that we can do, correct, Ron?
No, we can only classify it as unlisted action. We need him to complete the part one, which identifies
Okay,
everything that he wants to do out there.
Okay.
We still don't know what that is.
so we have a continuation resolution. This is not a public hearing, so we have a continuation resolution. Have a motion to waive the reading and approve
What was
this.
the date on that?
This one here is to the October 20th.
So I assume he's going to PRC on the first.
We hope.
We are gonna put everybody that's on here tonight on your agenda on tentatively for the PRC on the first.
By the way, I won't tell everybody that I probably won't be here on the 20th. Since it's my wedding anniversary and I think I'll be in Florida, but Doug can handle things, no problem.
We'll just move everything to the.
And I hadn't told them, but sounds good to me.
Well, you remember the town board did provide for the
Yeah, I can call. Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
I would just choose not to.
so it's been 48 years, so you know.
I mean, you're done eating dinner. you might as well. Don't get in trouble.
I do some.
Okay, do I have a motion to waive the reading of the continuation to the 20th and approve the resolution?
We have a secret first.
No, they just told me we couldn't do secret.
We're classifying it as
Oh,
an
that's
unlisted
the only
action,
thing you're doing is classifying
just classifying the secret.
and directing him, okay, to provide the complete part one.
Okay, so we have the resolution for the seeker. Do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve the seeker resolution?
By Tim.
Tim, seconded by Aaron. Any other comments? We'll take a roll call vote, please.
DeLucia,
Aye.
Ed Weeks.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney,
Aye.
Adrian Bellis,
Aye.
Ed Hunt.
Aye.
That was the seeker classifying
Yeah.
and then asking him to provide the material.
Now we have a continuation to October 20th. Have a motion to waive the reading and approve the resolution. Moved by Adrian, seconded by Aaron. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote.
DeLucia,
Aye.
Ed Weeks.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney,
Aye.
Adrian Bellis,
Aye.
Ed Hunt.
Aye. Okay, we're on to a new site plan, BB 0806-21, Gersten Medical. Who do we have to talk about that one tonight? Hey.
Alex Amron and Gossip and Calvary with the Cool.
I believe you have Jeff on.
Jeff, I'm okay, yeah, I sent a text to the opening, so.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
As Kevin mentioned, my name is Alex Amering, Costage Engineering with offices at
217 Lake Ave, Rochester, New York. Here speaking on behalf of Gerstner Medical. This board is obviously familiar. A few weeks back, we were here and received preliminary subdivision. Tonight's application is obviously revolves around the site plan itself. Couple other moving pieces before I get into the details. We have submitted for a setback variance associated with the VR Foods facility. When they dedicated the road for Quintonshire, there was a non-conforming setback. So we'll be appearing at the next CBA meeting later this month. So a little about the project itself. Obviously off County Route 41. Quintonshire VR Food sits up at the north end of the parcel. We're subdividing the south end of the parcel to facilitate the development of the Gerstner facility. It is a medical sales facility. They sell equipment. They'll have offices. They'll have a mock-up showroom, I'll call it, essentially an operating room, you know, where clients come in and look at equipment, hopefully buy it. The site itself, I think, you know, it's fairly straightforward. We obviously located the building in the center of the site, meeting the various setback requirements. We do have multifamily residential to the south. I believe that's the Pintail Crossing.
Pintail Crossing, yeah.
To the east is undeveloped. I believe it's agricultural, but it's zoned residential. And then on the west side of Quintonshire, there's additional businesses which are located in the same PUD we're in. So we have provided obviously parking. The parking demands are pretty low. It's just for the employees themselves. And then clients that come, it's not quote unquote open to the public. You know, they would invite, you know, clients to come, and I think it would be appointment based for the most part. All the utilities are located on Quintonshire, sewer, water, all of that. There's storm sewer. I think quite a bit of improvements were done at the time of the Pintail Crossing development. They put street lighting in, sidewalks, all that. Stormwater management, that's been the discussion since the early PRC meetings. The VR Foods facility have predated any of the DEC requirements. So we were asked to look at what they could do at VR Foods. I'll go ahead and thank NRB. We had a kind of a workshop call about a month ago, went over some of the constraints. And what we ultimately decided was we would, instead of meeting the minimum requirements for our project, we would kind of go above and beyond in order to kind of offset what VR Foods had done. You know, there's a lot of hurdles. The VR Foods facility is located down lower than our site. Obviously, getting water and go uphill is problematic. All their storm sewers were in the pavement, so it would involve a lot of reconstructing. So just a few days ago, we did summarize some of the updates and sent those to Colin and Lance. Sure, they didn't have a ton of time to get into it, but you know, we're happy to continue working with them on that. We also received a review letter from MRB. I did have the opportunity to review it. The comments and all, I would say, were very technical, you know, largely focusing around utilities, stormwater, erosion control, some of that sidewalk and driveway entrance details, that kind of thing. But we're comfortable working with them on that. So we did obviously provide lighting and landscape as part of this. Farmington has their specific criteria for buffering. We made our own interpretation. I think MRB also made some clarifications, and we'd be looking to update that. I'll kind of jump ahead into, we also had the opportunity to review the conditions contained within the resolution itself.
Correct.
I'd say all in all, we have no issue with them. One, I was hoping to discuss with the board, or, well, two, architectural, I'll kind of get to in a minute. But the one comment was about moving kind of the delivery driveway to the east side of the building. When we were going through the planning process, we were kind of looking at the surrounding properties, and we understand having it on the roadside is a bit unconventional, I'll say, but one thing we took into consideration is all the PUD is to the west on Quintonshire. The property to the east is residential. So there was some thought put into that, kind of where it is today, and we did do fairly substantial some earth burning and landscape on that side. Just to kind of clarify on the intent of the delivery lane there itself, it would just be smaller box vehicles, FedEx, UPS, that kind of thing. It's not a loading dock. Again, it's just some of the equipment they would be selling, remodeling, deliveries for that kind of thing. So I was kind of hoping we could have a little more dialogue on that. I don't see pushing it to the other side necessarily as a showstopper, but I also kind of want to, provide some information on, how we got to that point. So.
Okay, we can talk about it.
Yep. Lastly, I think I'll jump into architectural discussion.
Okay.
At the time we made site plan application, I think about a month and a half ago, I'll say the elevations weren't very developed at the time, which I'm guessing kind of played into some of the comments we've received from town staff and the board. Since then, Kevin, the project architect, Hamlin, they've been working directly with owner and kind of refining some of the features, materials, all that, making sure that, the budget works. And just today, we submitted some updated renderings. You'll see additional architectural features compared to what was originally submitted. Say more variation in the types of materials, how it's kind of broken up on the different facades of the building, more relief features. I think there's a canopy kind of over the main entry, quite a bit of glass was added there. That corner obviously is kind of the northwest corner, the one closest to Quintonshire. That would be definitely the most prominent from the roadway itself. The other three sides of the building, we were really, intending to buffer. There's really no need, there's no other access points. There's, no cross lock connections or anything like that. So, obviously understand the board got on short notice. The project architect also submitted a letter kind of summarizing some of the points out of the MTOD district and how they kind of got from the plan that was submitted to the plan that you got today, taking some of those guidelines out of the MTOD and how they applied it to the current plan. So I think with that, I'd be happy.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll turn it over to staff, let staff comment on it, and then we'll report and talk to you about it. Ron?
Okay, is this thing still on? Got a red light, I thought it was there.
And I think the batteries one.
Forget it. All right.
Just speak on.
I've got 4 resolutions for the board tonight. The first is classifying the seeker for the project. And determining the classification as unlisted. Because it is an unlisted action. You have to do the part 2 and 3 as the agency, because we're not doing a coordinated review on this. So I've drafted those 2 parts for your consideration.
That's another resolution, right? Second resolution?
That's just
Just for one, okay.
And then the seeker resolution for determining a negative declaration. And then a resolution with a few conditions for preliminary site plan approval. I'd like to address the issue of the overhead door and the delivery and whatnot. First of all, the property to the east is owned by Delaware North. Almost said Delaware River, that would scared everybody. But it's part of the racetrack, it's part of the casino. It's zoned a restricted business, allows for a variety of non-residential uses, office buildings, things of that nature. It also allows for, motels, hotels, things of that nature. Shouldn't be zoned that way, but it is, okay? The biggest issue that I had in looking, and then I recommended in this to consider that, is the landscape along the front of the building. Other properties, we require landscaping treatments, and here we've got what looks like a concrete pad. I'd like to see some consideration given to that, so that you can take a look at how that might improve the appearance of the property. The other thing is that I just asked the question if we need additional design area for the stormwater facility, then perhaps we could relocate some of those parking lots, spaces that are next to the stormwater facility around to the east side of the building to coincide with the relocated overhead door. And you've got a sidewalk over there, you've got 2 doorways into the building from over there, but yet there's nothing over there. I mean, as far as cars or anything else to get into. So it's kind of like, I just ask questions, and I guess my preference would be to try to do something to improve that westerly. And then the other part of it is, that's where your delivery is, and that's where your pickup is, that's where you're going to have a lot of your debris that you're going to be getting rid of. And where is your dumpster? But it's way around the building on the other side of the site. So I just think that it makes more sense to flip it and have everything consolidated over there.
Yeah, the dumpster's way out the back end of the parking lot, right?
Right.
Okay.
So you want a dialogue? I started the dialogue.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the board, at least I certainly have some opinions on the door and the north, the south elevation as well. But go ahead, Dan.
I mean, Ron really covered a lot of it. A lot of my comments were technical in nature, with the site plan, just some signature blocks and stuff to that sort. I am displaying on your screens the landscaping plan so that we can have more dialogue about landscaping. And I think Ron touched upon that very nicely, that there's definitely some open areas that we need more landscaping, or maybe some of this gets relooked at. So the other thing that was presented to you guys tonight is the elevations. We did print, my staff printed everybody a copy, should be at your location. along with the letter that they talked about the MTOD guidelines and how they got to where they are. So that is also under your review tonight. So that's all I have.
And we got it electronically today as well. Highway,
I'm gonna also comment on the overhead door. I'm looking at a 15-foot driveway down through there. I can't see where you could hardly pull a pickup truck out and back up straight to that overhead door, 15 foot. Part of my thought process there, whether it were all the way over on the east side or back on the southeast corner, someplace where it appears that the landscaping stops, would be a consideration where you can make your way around back there and have an area to actually pull the truck out a little bit to get a shot. I don't see how you can back up a delivery vehicle up there in that 15 foot and get square with a door. Yeah.
anything else?
No, that's it.
You good? Okay. Alan,
So MLB issued a letter on September 9th. Most of our comments were fairly technical. As Alex indicated, the intent for stormwater on this site was to oversize the facilities to provide extra treatment beyond what's normally required, so as to offset the sort of common plan aspects of the VR foods and the new medical facility. Alex submitted a stormwater exhibit yesterday, which I took a brief look at, and it does include additional fire retention facilities that are not shown on the current plans. MRB will review those later this week or next week.
okay? All right. Tim,
Well, until I listened to Ron, I was
just a
okay.
second, I'm sorry, let me hold. Highway,
I got one more addition there. I thought you were gonna call on fire, and I thought he was.
oh, I'm sorry.
That southeast corner is going to be an area that's going to be rather difficult for fire apparatus to make its way around there. One of which was a 15-foot driveway down that west side. If the need came to put an aerial there or something, that 15 foot is actually not wide enough to keep a fire truck out of the fall zone.
Right.
And set up an aerial. To lend with that, as Ron was stating, if that parking lot came down on the west side, an area, you could actually come straight in with an aerial, put it on that west side of the building to accommodate the west and the south sides of that building. The way we're set up right now, really the only, and Chief will correct me if I'm wrong, the only way I see for fire attack on this is one fire truck straight in the front parking lot, and no access to the other, per se, three sides of that.
Yeah, it was one of the comments I think I made is I don't think I've seen many commercial buildings that don't have fire access at least on three sides, if not all four. And this one's only got it really on one because you can't really use the other one. So, all right, I'm sorry. Back to you, Tim.
Yeah, as I started to say, initially, until I listened to Ron, I didn't object to the overhead door being on the west side because it's opposite the other overhead doors or delivery docks and the building across the road. But I understand Ron's thought process, and I agree.
Oh, my goodness. You get into this.
And perhaps it would be better on the east side. And then with the consideration of the fire truck access, that, enhances that consideration as well.
Okay.
That's it.
Doug?
Yeah, looking at the side, I mean, the 15 feet, I knows that to the downside. I mean, short of, if a truck is only going to back off and you're going to offload them, that might be sufficient, but I can't see anybody trying to make a turn to actually utilize that door, short of getting something off with a pallet jack.
Yeah, the intent was to keep the UPS or FedEx driver pulls them and backs up to that door. It does not have to be an overhead door, it could be a pair door. So if we were to pull a wide sidewalk off and landscape that edge of the building to a pair of doors, do you have any objection to that on that side of the building? it's not a true loading dock where they're backing up square overhead door. They're just, instead of going in the front door where the reception is and going through the lobby, you got a spot right there, and we're not mixing pedestrians and, you know, traffic that's in the parking lot with a UPS truck and a FedEx truck running through that all the time. They can swing in and back right up to that door and then pull straight out. That was why we put it the way we did.
There's a small warehouse, or I call it a warehouse, but where they store, you know,
They're dealing with parts and pieces that are broken down.
it's in the back of the building, the offices, everything's kind of up in the front of the building, so.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I-
Yep. Sorry, I didn't know if I thought I'd jump in real quick. This is Jeff Gerstner. I want to kind of clarify what the purpose of the facility will be, but really, when we're talking about deliveries, we get very infrequent deliveries to our business for our business. We don't have a lot of, our warehousing is done off-site. Our main purpose of this would be to store supplies and have some supplies for our demo facility there. So our main warehouses are located around the country. And really from a design perspective, you know, the goal here is to really put a, we do business with some of the larger medical companies around the country, and they're going to be coming to our facility. So we're trying to represent this type of facilities that we've been seeing around the country. So hopefully the nuances of the door and the location and the purpose aren't lost here, because we don't have and don't intend to make this a, you know, a warehouse. As you can see, it's simply some basic storage. So we get FedEx and UPS just like any other office does, you know, a couple times a week. So hopefully I just wanted to clarify that for the group.
Hey, thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I guess that helps me understand. It's be a little bit better, you know, obviously. Pull someone in. I mean, it might still be nice to have down the road, but I mean, I guess if you're saying you don't need it, I don't, you know, necessarily feel that strongly. I mean, maybe instead of that overhead door, a set of double man doors would look nicer. I mean, if it had to be on that side. Screening wise, I think it's, you know, the back door might need to be screened a little bit more on the south side. I guess when you look at it, how closely that was to the buildings there.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of jumped over was you'll see an area where we aren't intending to clear. You know, there are a few mature trees in there. It's not, the rest is kind of brushy.
And it's
but,
quite a bit lower than elevation in the apartments.
you know, even putting in, you know, new, fairly decent sized trees that takes years, and, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a set of hardwoods back there. It's not pretty, but at the same time, it's functional. You know, it's brush. So you'll see that's why, you know, there isn't a whole lot of plantings around the southeast corner.
Okay.
I skipped that.
Yeah, and then mainly to open for whatever you want to get on the road. Gazebo like we saw a couple weeks ago, where people eat outside or whatever.
Yeah.
It leaves room for a feature like that, which could be nice down the road. My other comment, I guess, is landscaping was, you know, some of there's quite a few surface barriers which tend to be a little thinner, you know, more spindly type things, and maybe something that might have a little denser canopy or even some evergreens in that one cluster there.
Yeah, the deer, you gotta make sure that they're deer resistant too, because you'll get a bunch of deer in that area.
These guys are deer hunters. They love that.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's not lost on us.
We might be playing corn out there.
Yeah, there you go.
I did notice the saltwoods.
So they keep in the woods back there.
We wouldn't be that obvious, no.
You know, otherwise, I mean, as far as site plan, I don't have a whole lot. I just seen the elevations for the first time in color here. I guess the only comment would be final is just, you know, list the different colors, you know, make sure that they're accurate on the printer, because the printer doesn't always print them accurately. So again, it looks like there's 3 different colors maybe right now.
Yeah, I assume the next meeting we come back with samples of material.
Yeah, so that would be helpful. I mean, this is definitely an improvement over what was
Yeah.
originally included, but again, just coming in for a final, I'd like to see a little more detail on that.
I'll say the TVs you have very nice. I was at another meeting last night and they had a projector and the architect's rendering looked for, the projectors tend to bleed out, the
Right.
colors bleed out, the
Yeah.
TVs are a lot nicer.
But and printers always do too. I mean, they print the same thing at two separate ones. Sure.
You,
Oh,
the UR building in township,
Uh-huh,
you know, it's
yeah.
kind of the front entry look that we're
Okay.
trying to do there, because they deal with all medical and a lot of the UR stuff looks like that.
Okay. And something like that would help you.
Yeah.
You know, help us in the next one.
Yeah, and
This is.
you can send those to staff and they'll email them to us too.
Yeah.
We can see it
Yeah,
on
and
that.
send that to me digitally and then
Yeah.
also display it on the screen.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Adrian?
No, Doug hit on the renderings and the color and stuff there at the end, so that was one. The only other thing I had, for the size of the building, Dan, is that enough parking spot? If for some reason he was to leave and a different business went in there, that was
No,
not a
that's-
concern?
That's always a concern with any building that we look at, because the change of use dictates the parking.
Okay.
But again, you have parking along the side of the building there, that we talked about possibly putting the loading dock over there, that we could get more parking. I think there's some avenues to get more parking.
If needed, if something
Needed for a
happened.
different, yeah, but for this use, they are fine on parking.
Okay. And then I didn't really have anything else now that we got some of this information tonight late here. In the overhead door, and I wasn't really too concerned about it really.
Okay. Nothing else?
Nope.
Eric?
Okay, first, the initial driveway, your main driveway come off Quintonshire. Should be 35 feet in width to, for a fire apparatus to pull in. Right now you have it at 25 feet, an extra 5 feet on each side. On one of your sheets, I think it was the utilities, talked about the hydrant placement. You have it to the north of that driveway. I'd like to see it to the south. If we have it to the north, then trying to get, you're gonna have a fire apparatus stuck right at the north end of that hydrant. It's gonna make it turning, it's pretty difficult to get into the driveway. Putting it to the south leaves that whole turning area open.
Okay. No, that's good feedback, thank you.
Now, you do have a lot of nice trees, but that wooden brush area and the difference in elevation between the proposed building and the residential building. I don't want to see a light. Right now, you don't have it. I don't know if you plan on doing it or not, but I wouldn't like to see a light on the south side of that wall. Just through that wooded brush, I don't think that's tall enough, so that dispersion of light would go through.
There's no doors or anything, so we're fine with that.
Okay. And then right at your main entrance, Knox box. Or a Knox box.
Oh, yeah. The entrance to the building.
To the building.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
That's where, Chief, that's where you would want it, correct? Right at the front entrance? Not
Yeah,
right-
usually, I mean, it doesn't have to be right out front site, but somewhere where it's maybe a little bit out of the straight line of vision, but you know, you want it easily accessible and you want it near the fire alarm panel, because it's not a free tour to go through the building, to find out where the alarm's coming from.
So the fire alarm's gonna be right in front.
That's usually what we want.
Okay,
Anything else?
that is all I have.
Okay, I forgot. Chief, you got any comments on this?
No, I mean,
I'm just skipping by things tonight.
Oh, that's all right. I've been by that building before and it's, and, you know, obviously if there's some changes, I mean, turning radius, you certainly want to try to get your aerial device in there first,
Right.
especially if it's a working fire. Because once other vehicles get in there, forget it, you can use the
Right.
personnel. But, so that obviously is a concern, or could be a concern. I haven't really looked at it that well, so it's normal things. You know, accesses around the building. You know, we do have buildings where we don't have 360. Sometimes it's 270 or something like that. And the key is to place vehicles, you want to place them in an area on the corner of the building, so you've got access to two sides.
Right.
But it also reduces the danger of collapse zone.
Which you don't want to ride on top of the building either.
No, so it's 1.5 times the height of the
Exactly.
building usually, is where you set your trucks up. And even some buildings, you want to be further back, because if it cuts loose,
Right.
it's gonna throw stuff all over the place. So it's, depending on the,
Cool.
the dimensions of it.
All right, thank you.
That's all I got. I mean, it's
Okay.
access and the height of the building's 2-story. What's the overall height? Just curious.
What's the minimum?
24 foot.
Okay, that's not-
Yeah, there's a portion that has a mezzanine in it, right?
Okay, you agree with the hydrant change?
Oh, I agree, because you obviously, once you hit a hydrant with LVH, nothing's gonna drive over. And
Right.
so if the first truck decides to lay in, you may not get any other vehicles, they might have to park along 41. And so but that's up to the command
Right.
decisions, when we get there. Sometimes we'll use engine water to initiate a quick knockdown, and other times they may hit the hydrant before they even get to this.
Okay. Cool.
Is there hydrants that are already in going up that road to the new housing area?
We relocate.
Oh, so it's pre-existing right now,
Yeah.
where it is here.
Yeah, this is gonna be a relocation.
We avoided the street lights and everything else
Yeah.
on the site, really. I didn't wanna sacrifice good site design to not relocate a hydrant, so.
Okay, so I have a couple comments. First off, I don't like the south elevation. I think putting just the steel buildings flat side there, it's faces up to residential area, even with the buffering. I personally think that the door needs to change to something that looks significantly better if it stays there. Door gets moved to the east or the south side, move that door, get that around the corner and out. I also think that you should seriously consider access for fire apparatus on at least 3 sides. Right now, you've got fire access on one side. You're not gonna have them drive up a 15-foot drive to the building there. They're not gonna do that. So you only got fire access from one side. Everything else, they're gonna be dragging hoses around the building, or put the aerial out front, and knocking it down from the top. So I don't know if I like that concept. I think we need to make sure that we sit down and staff talks to fire, and we figure out a way around that. Sometimes we have allowed people to put, I won't call it pervious surface, and then put grass on top of it where they can actually drive on it in an emergency kind of situation, so you don't have to put in a driveway or something like that. So there are some ways around it. Yeah, something for you experts to come up with, but I just think if you don't have access on 3 sides, it's certainly, again, I assume this is gonna be sprinkled and everything else, so probably not a huge issue, but it is what it is. Last one is I'd like to see this type of drawing with some landscaping shown on it, so we can see some color, some landscaping on top of it, so we can see it. I mean, I think overall, the building doesn't look bad. I just think that the door is ugly. The sliding up door is ugly. And it's not just because it's facing into the west into another PUD area, but you've got residential driving up and down that road all the time too. So even with the screening, maybe it's okay, but I just don't like the looks of it. The rest of it's real nice, other than the south and that one door. So those are my comments. Did anybody have any additional comments? Obviously, Ron.
Yeah, Alex, just to clarify, that drive along the west side of the building is concrete.
Yep, as proposed.
Yeah, 15 feet.
Okay, so when I looked at that, I immediately thought, that's heavy duty stuff, why is that concrete and the rest of it blacktop? And that's why I thought it was gonna be from a loading dock or an unloading dock or whatever. Is there any reason why concrete was chosen?
Just to tie in with the sidewalks and make it look pretty. On that side of the road.
Okay, that's nice.
And
We got a big building across the street with vertical metal siding and 3 low back doors. And
I understand,
we're not
but
gonna make
I didn't get a
any
chance to
different-
comment on those. Before I could comment on them. So the bottom line is we like the concept of having the building there. We like bringing the business into town. I think we just need to clean up a few things. I think we're gonna be fine. I mean, you know, we're not trying to hash the world here. We're just trying to make a few changes that I think will make it better. And we're looking forward to the business.
So we either have to change the sign up at the road and put an E in Quintonshire, or we have to spell it correctly on all the drawings, including the architects.
Okay,
I think somewhere it was, I don't know if it was Google or somewhere we did.
you counted on Google?
I don't know.
There's your first mistake.
And then
Go ahead.
the sign application, we just kind of wait until later.
That's a separate application.
That's fine.
All right. So do I have anyone else that wants to speak before we get into the resolution? Okay. John, tell me what we have the resolution. I think we have 4 of them, correct?
There's only 3.
3.
And the first one is the seeker classification as an unlisted action.
Okay, so do I have a motion to waive the reading of the unlisted seeker and approve it as presented? Motion by Tim,
Aaron seconds.
second by Aaron. Any other comment? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Leeds.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Velez. Ed Henry.
Aye. Okay, we got that done. We got all the names right. So next item up.
Is the criteria for determining significance and will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact.
Well, the first thing is that we have to agree with what's been identified.
Right.
If we do,
We do.
then you can make the speaker declaration, you can sign
Okay.
this form.
So I assume everyone has read through that and everybody's okay with the declaration of non-significant? And before we do, this was not a public hearing, correct?
That's right.
So, do I have a motion to waive the reading of the declaration as a non-significance,
To accept part 2,
except part 2?
okay? You need
Okay.
somebody to do that.
A motion to waive the reading and accept the resolution that declares that we are accepting the part 2.
No, you're just trying to accept part 2
Okay,
that's been prepared by staff.
and that's not a resolution.
No, you reviewed it.
We've reviewed it. Everybody's agreed to it? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Now you accepted that,
We've accepted the part 2.
then by separate resolution, you can make your declaration of non-significance under secret.
Okay, we have a second, we have a resolution declaring non-significance because we have accepted the part 2. Okay, do I have a motion to waive that reading and approve that resolution?
Move.
Second. Moved and seconded. Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Leeds.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Velez.
Aye.
Ed Henry.
Aye. Okay.
Now, before you go to the next part, you've got to do the part 3, which is actually completing the form, signing the negative declaration,
Okay,
okay? Which I don't hear any objections to.
no objections, okay,
So that's just
that's just me signing.
administrative, it doesn't need a resolution.
Okay,
You've already done that with the previous one.
okay, so I
It's
just signed.
complicated, but it's a state form, so what kind of?
Do we need to do anything?
No.
Okay, so I'll sign the part 3. Okay, next item.
Next item is your preliminary site plan approval with a bunch of conditions.
Okay, and applicant's okay with the conditions? You think you've got our feedback on what our concerns were?
Yeah, mostly just revolved around the driveway.
Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to waive the reading of the resolution for accepting the preliminary site plan with conditions?
The condition says they're gonna move that driveway. So are we all, the condition says, Jay or whatever says that driveway is going to the other side of the building. So all I'm bringing up, I'm not shooting it up or down, I'm just saying, if we say they, and he brought up earlier, but
Right.
My kind of takeaway was the overhead door shouldn't be on the west side, but if we were able to go to something that was less intrusive, I guess I would say
Right.
we were kind of okay with it being on the west side, otherwise it's gotta go to the east side. Is that?
I think that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I would like, I mean, I don't want to say right now, I have to move, let's see exactly what.
So do we need to strike that from the resolution, Ron, or is that just?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, let's just.
I mean, for now, at least we can.
Strike it for now and we'll certainly let you know on final.
The owner's online, I mean, that was like a 10-foot overhead door roughly. I mean, is that needed, or is that just, was that over?
Could be something.
Like,
else.
he can do a double
If
door
you
that's-
ever wanted to get a forklift in there someday, for whatever reason, you could do that. So if we put a pair of 8-foot.
I mean, does he have a door right where he's
Yeah.
at now that he uses all the time for this?
Yeah.
Like a 10-foot
Oh, no,
door?
no, I mean, they don't have place like that, no. Their warehousing is in other parts of the country, they lease warehouse space. This is just their.
So let's strike that for now. You
Yeah.
know what our issues are.
Yep.
You come back with a solution.
Yep.
John, you got that? Strike that?
J or whatever it was.
Yes, Jay.
Okay. So do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve resolution with conditions minus the conditions to move to drive?
So moved.
Move by Adrian, second by Doug. Any other comment? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats. Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Bellis.
Aye.
Ed Hunt.
Aye. That was way too complex.
Well, I just didn't want
No,
to. hang.
No, I'm talking about the whole thing.
I thought you meant the last.
Especially
one.
the seeker part. Oh. All right, guys, you got your input, hopefully. If you've got questions, reach out to staff. I live close by. I'm always available during the week, anytime. We can turn around and help you through the next phase. Really. And certainly PRC will help.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item up, we have other board actions. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
First one up, Village, the halfway corner, letter of credit. Everything's good with that one, correct, staff?
Finally is, yes.
Finally, everything's clear, everything's signed off, everything's good to go. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the Village halfway letter of credit estimate review? Motion by Tim, second by Doug. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Bellis.
Aye.
Ed Hunt.
Aye. Auto wash, we're good with that one too. Everything's been signed, sealed, delivered.
That was good. It was accepted last night for the town board.
So we're just doing a cleanup here.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the auto wash letter of credit. Moved by Adrian, second by Aaron. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats.
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney.
Aye.
Adrian Bellis.
Aye.
Ed Hunt.
Aye. Okay, let's talk about the Myers RV construction schedule review and the resolution that we have somewhere buried in here.
Need it?
No, I have it here somewhere. I thought I did, don't worry about it. Okay, go ahead.
Jeff Burns from Myers.
Jeff, how you doing?
All right, so last week we started and this week we finished installing the oil water separator. We're running the storm laterals to the retention ponds this week. Concrete is backed up right now and it's looking like we're gonna finish the dump station to get our SIU permit and also at the same time start the curbs within 2 weeks. And after we install the curbs, then we're gonna fine grade the parking lot. We're gonna be wrapping up the sanitary and water install and get the chlorination hopefully next week. And we are also starting the fence along the perimeter of the property next week as well. The building shell will be erecting the steel within 2 weeks as well. That's where we're at.
Cool, okay. Who wants to start, Ron or Dan?
Well, I put together, from what you got a copy of, right? You have any questions with what's in here?
No.
Okay,
basically what I'm looking at, I think, is that by October 5th, the first phase of this project is going to be pretty well done. Correct?
Yes.
And if it isn't, then the planning board, is going to want to ask why. Okay. All right. With that, then this should be the last revision. Okay, because we will have wrapped up everything.
And doesn't it kind of turn the red, any cleanup to the PRC? And that kind of what we're doing with that,
No, you're basically telling the
to
applicant
be done by the 5th of October.
that this is his schedule, he's presenting it to you. He's told you you can do it by October 5th, so
Okay,
we got some good weather coming. Sounds
yeah,
like-
supposedly.
So should be no problem.
Okay, good. Dan?
The applicant was at the last PRC. We did a lot of discussion on the building, which is phase 2. And I think a lot of the issues were resolved. They are still plugging away on phase 1. There is delays, as the applicant just mentioned, with concrete. And obviously I'm concerned about binder with plants, but I've already worked with him and we're confident that that's going to be in. So at this point, that I think we're in a good direction. They'll be back at PRC in October. And with any luck, we won't have to bring them back in front of you guys.
I like that. We don't like to see it.
When is that PRC meeting?
October 1st.
October 1st. Yes.
Okay,
The 6th is the.
highway,
I'm comfortable with watching the way production has went since, as we started getting on the schedule,
right,
once we stepped in here.
right here.
No downs at this
Engineering,
time.
Fire. I didn't forget you this time. Okay, board, Aaron,
I have nothing.
Adrian,
I mean, I know what you're saying, stuff's backed up. I mean, I'm hopeful for that October 5th, just because there's a bunch of stuff on here that still has to be done.
Yeah.
You know, that's saying to be done by next week, and now it's gonna back up 2 weeks or so, and it's gonna put you, you know what I mean, put you in the tight time frame. I'm just saying, I mean, you're not, I don't think it's gonna go well, but your window is very small now with what you have, so I'm worried that it's gonna hurt you, but I'm not gonna hang it for you. So just, I hope everything stays well.
all right, Doug, Tim.
I'm good with the proposed resolution.
Okay, no motion to waive the reading of the proposed resolution and approve it.
So moved.
Moved by Doug, seconded by Tim. Any other comment? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Tim DeLucia,
Aye.
Doug Weeds,
Aye.
Aaron Sweeney,
Why?
Adrian Bellis, Heather.
Aye. Okay,
You guys.
take her easy. See you at PRC. Okay, open discussion. Ron.
Okay, a couple of things, the TAP grant application, going well. We had a pickup last night, we didn't get a legal notice yet in the paper. So we have to schedule a special town board meeting next Wednesday at 6:30. to go over that project. It's a $2.1 million project for approximately 7,000 linear feet of sidewalk plus a bridge crossing the Beaver Creek. And the deadline is the 29th of this month, whatever the last Wednesday is, to get it into Albany. Town cost is going to be roughly $442,000, 1.7 million from the Federal Highway Administration. Last time we did this grant, our biggest stumbling block was we didn't have easements. And I've been running around like a chicken with a head cut off, getting easements. As we stand right now, there's only one that remains. So that's significant improvement.
Very good, very good. Good work.
That's a big step. I can relay to you that I've talked with Mike Montalto. about the Farmington Market project. He has listened to the things that were discussed with him back in July and put together a proposal for Ange and taking a sweet time looking it up. So, we also got last night approval for the decommissioning plan for Delaware River Solar. After 10 revisions since June. And the only thing that's outstanding now is the letter of credit. And they want to try to get that pre-construction meeting underway so they can do some stuff still this fall.
Believe it when I see it, but I hope they do.
Dan will tell you about an interesting subdivision application that we received that's over in that area.
Oh. Talk about we're still waiting on court action. The judge has heard, and we're waiting on a ruling, correct?
Judge Shore has heard arguments, you know.
Right.
And we're just waiting for him to make a ruling.
Right.
Hopefully, when he does that, it'll clear the way for the solar legislation that we drafted, to bring that back out of the closet and move forward with that.
And open the floodgates.
Yeah. And then, once the moratorium gets lifted, who knows what happens?
Yeah.
We may or may not have any applications.
Who knows?
We had 5 in the holdings there. So with that, chapter 74 is being amended. Dan can talk about that part of it. And I think it's about it. We are going to get to the comprehensive plan, believe me. Keep putting out all these damn forest fires.
Okay, all right. Dan.
All right, your next meeting for October 6th, you have the auto wash is coming in for a site plan amendment for their signs, to put signs on the building. Building and pole sign, I should say. You also have Farmington Commons coming in for their subdivision and site plan now that you have continued to that next meeting. And you have Country Max as well on that for their warehouse. Also, that doesn't include any letter of credits or any of those additional things that might come up. As Ron mentioned, last night we set a public hearing for the next town board meeting for chapter 74 for update. This chapter update would include fire prevention. We talked with the fire chief a little bit about sprinklers, and we are incorporating that into our local law that commercial buildings moving forward, if this does get approved, would have to have sprinklers installed no matter the size of the building. It also includes the requirement of NOx box, well, a listed key box, which this fire department uses NOx. So that would be what would be recommended, as you heard Darian talk about it earlier. That will now be in code if approved. It also would include any gates would have a NOx box, NOx padlock, or in that NOx box would be keys to any gates for the fire department access. So a lot of good stuff coming for fire prevention. We have seen a lot of contractors go to the minimum of what the international code says. So we have made it a little bit stricter, and I think it's a safer move, especially for our volunteer fire department. So, and lastly, Ron mentioned about an interesting subdivision that came in out in the neck of the woods of where the solar farm is located, which our friend Jim Plagna is looking for a 2-lot subdivision for his son to build across from the proposed solar farm. So,
No comment.
so that's going through the process as we speak. So.
Okay. By the way,
some things you just can't make up.
you can't make it up.
From a highway standpoint, we are going to be putting the last segment of base where the drainage is on town line tomorrow. Next week, we will be doing some milling on the center line on either side of center line to contour. And then we will be placing on next Wednesday, weather permitting, we will be placing the binder course from 332 down to the segment where we ended on phase 1. So there'll be some significant difference in appearance over there by the end of next week. With all the underground, people don't realize there's been a lot of work done there, but it's all underground where it's not visible. So they don't see the progress. That said, there will be a substantial appearance change there next week. Some of the other things within the highway, we've got some roadways we're finishing up, a little bit of chip sealing. We've got some cake sealing going down. Actually, it was supposed to start today. We got rained out, so we anticipate that on the next day. Starting to get ready to put them snow plows in. I knew I'd get some attention on that one. So,
Yep.
we're plugging away.
All right.
Got nothing?
Fire.
Nothing.
Okay, for the board, it's possible, and again, a lot depends on the COVID, relations or what's going on in Florida, but we are tentatively planning to go down for our 48th wedding anniversary, down visit grandkids. It's been a couple of years. But may have to put it off because of COVID. We just have to see what Florida's like. It's kind of crazy right now down there, so we'll see. But that would be the second meeting in October. I might be gone, but I can always dial in. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Does anyone on the board have anything? Okay.
With GLN's project over there on 96, want to buy, it looks like there's equipment to clear trees off the site, not just like stumps or whatever. It's like tree clearing equipment, so just wanted that to be.
So just so it's recorded, they did have their pre-construction meeting at the PRC, which allowed them to get a grading permit to remove the stumps, to remove Don's 3 poles, hold up that old sign, and start construction of the new road that will be coming off of 96. I will look into it about clearing of any trees, because I don't believe that was part of any permit allowed. So
Right, I thought, and maybe I'm off a little bit, but I thought the spot that's cleared now is enough for the paths in the roadway.
It is.
that was,
Although there's still some stumps possibly. to remove.
there's a
Right.
lot of stuff to
Yeah.
be removed. So that's, I'm gonna look into it.
But the equipment, in my opinion, when I drove by, was not stuff to remove
Right.
stumps. It looked like
It's
it's
pretty
stuff to,
heavy. Heavy equipment.
I mean, you need heavy, but it looks like it's stuff to take trees down too.
So
It might be to take my 3 poles down.
Well, they,
Where are you gonna put those poles? I bring them to it.
Pretend 0.
so, yeah, I just wanted it on the record and have somebody check in and make sure they're not gonna do more
I appreciate it.
tree clearing, I guess I'd call it right now. Because I am not expecting tree clearing right now. Just
Nor are we. So I appreciate the information, and I will.
Yeah, I saw that today.
so.
Anything else?
Yes,
Go ahead.
excellent. So on the first of this month, I went around with Augie.
Right.
Spent 3 hours with him. Pretty much how the process starts. So we went over safe place storage. Just talked about, went over the maps, the plats. Talked about what's going on. And we had a meeting with Ron to go over resolutions, and it was very informative. I did it with the ZBA as well. Spent most of the day with them there.
Mhm.
It was pretty informative, picking their mind, seeing what they think, what they expect, and knowing that I can talk to them, agree to talk to. So that being said, I'd like to get some training on it.
Okay.
I was looking for 3 hours. I don't know if that'll equate the whole 3 hours.
Cool.
Yeah, we can argue that tomorrow.
All right. If you just said something to Marcy on that one, Ron, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Anything else from anybody?
I had one quick question. I
Yeah.
just was, wondering if you heard anything about American Equipment.
Well, it's
Building
some,
pile?
I was, we're still working on that one.
Okay.
They've been informed that that wasn't approved use for that area. And of course, we got the standard answer of, oh, we didn't realize that. So, I'm trying to get a time frame of when that's gonna be removed.
Okay.
So they're not supposed to be adding to it. Our zoning officer is overseeing that now.
Okay.
So do you make a time frame for them or?
We try to work with everyone, so I mean, obviously, as long as the problem isn't compounding, and he can slowly get rid of it, then I think that's good for everybody. I'm not gonna go in there and say, hey, it all has to be out tomorrow, but if we don't see improvement over time, then yes, our zoning officer will write a violation on it. And it will have to, that the court actually puts a time frame on how quickly it has to do.
Or DEC will. I mean, again, they should be storing that there anyway, so maybe
Right,
DEC
I
will
mean,
get involved.
I have talked to their stormwater management, they use BME, and she's aware of it.
Okay.
So, I appreciate you bringing it back up, but
Yeah.
it's.
Well, just, at some point, they gotta honor what they agreed to, and so far, most of the stuff that we asked them to do, I mean, it just does not seem like they've done that. I mean, that was supposed to be for maintaining equipment out there. It seems like it's more of a rental fleet now, which would require special use at the time. So I mean, there's been a lot of things, and it's really getting a little.
They're walking the line, they're just gonna push it.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't bring it up. It doesn't seem
Yeah, I
like
mean,
they really care what this board says, frankly.
Well, Adrian's right, they've been walking this fine line and they pushed it, and now we're pushing back. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
just,
mean, realistically, after a bit, I mean, there's gonna have to be a timeline put out somehow.
I'm sure there
I
will.
know you're being generous, but I mean, after 30 days or something, if there's nothing moving, it's all
Well-
sitting there the same way, I mean.
There's a procedure, and, I mean, when it gets into the zoning officer's hands, he gets a notice. So we had to do it in writing, it has to be so much time, and then if he doesn't do anything, then the second notice goes out, and then we can take it to court. I mean, there's a procedure of what I have to
But
do.
what's the,
And it's a
what
time
is- what is
restraint.
some of that though? So we,
It's,
I mean, if you give the first notices at 30 days, then the
Yeah.
second goes out, so it's another 30, so I mean, if it takes 3 months, we understand that.
yeah, so I'll tell you exactly how this works. We send out a notice, it's 30 days. If we don't get any response, a second notice goes out, it's 30 days. So now we're at 60 days.
Okay.
If no response out of that, then he gets an appearance ticket, and that's up to the court of how quickly I can get on the docket. Then we go in front of the judge then can hear both sides of it, and then it's up to them on the
The
ruling.
judge and what goes on from
Yeah,
that.
I understand.
So, but here's where it gets interesting. If they respond to
I was gonna say, what happens there?
then they can give us what we call a reasonable time frame to amend it. So let's say that's another 30 to 60 days of a plan to amend. If he doesn't do anything during that time, we start the whole process over again with a notice of non-compliance.
It's the system.
So as long as he responds to you, he can play this game for as long as he wants.
Yep, and truly that's the loophole. And legally I can't touch it because if he shows that he's working on it, the judge is gonna throw it out.
Even if he's moved nothing.
He has to show progress. Thank you. Yes, as long as he shows progress, any judge here is gonna throw it out if I try to take it, and he says, well, I've done this. It's progress.
Is there like photo evidence on what has always been done, or, I'm not just talking about him, on any of these
Yeah,
problems. that
every-
go out, there's, the
Yep.
file's this big, and when another photo shows he did X, but it may not have been much, but enough that he moved something out of it away, or.
So we do it, the zoning officer, every complaint that we handle, he has follow-up complaints. Every time he goes out, we take additional photos. And this is all required because if I take it to the court, I have to show a time frame. And in those photos, if we show progression of the problem getting better, I'm thrown out of court. So.
Well, it just makes it easier for us to understand when we're bringing it up to you.
Well, and it's
Right.
frustrating because I want that quick reaction, I want to get things taken care of. And some of these people know how to play the game.
Is that a government game? Is that not the game, but is that, how's that set? I mean, that's not law, like, that's state law, like, that once they respond, it's as it is, and even though they can play this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough for me to take somebody to court if they are working, what court says working with me, and that's communication.
Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn by Tim, seconded by Adrian, all in favor? Aye. All right.